Hello, and welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your curiosity and turn it into true understanding. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating journey into something we all do every single day, our daily routines. Now, it might sound, deceptively simple talking about waking up, having breakfast, but the architecture of how we learn to communicate these everyday things, it actually reveals some pretty profound insights into, instructional design and the learning process itself. We're diving deep into excerpts from an English learning resource. It meticulously breaks down this really fundamental part of communication. And it's not just about learning English words. It's a brilliant example of a thoughtfully constructed pedagogical approach, which, for those less familiar, basically refers to the method and theory behind how something is taught effectively.
Right.
And in this case, it's also sort of a masterclass in instructional design, creating learning experiences that actually work and engage you. So, our mission today. Let's unpack how this resource structures the learning, the building blocks it uses, and the frankly surprising simplicity that makes talking about complex things feel accessible. You're going to walk away some genuine aha moments about the maybe elegance hidden in everyday language, and maybe even how you approach learning, any new skill.
Indeed. What's truly fascinating here, I think, is that we're not just looking at vocabulary lists. We're actually stepping beyond the what's of the language to analyze the pedagogical genius, the how and why behind teaching something as vital as describing your day. We're seeing how a complex communicative task gets deconstructed, taught in digestible pieces, and then built back up so you can express yourself effectively, confidently. This resource really provides a compelling blueprint for making the seemingly complex feel approachable, not by watering it down, but by strategically scaffolding the learning experience.
You mentioned it's a masterclass in making the complex approachable, and that's exactly what we want to drill into. So, what specific techniques is this resource using to get that accessibility for something so fundamental like describing your day without, diluting the learning?
Well, it starts with a principle that's pretty fundamental to cognitive psychology, actually. Leveraging existing knowledge structures. Our source material, this English guide, it doesn't waste any time on abstract stuff.
Yeah.
It jumps straight into the bedrock verbs, the action words that form the universal backbone of our daily narrative. Think about it.
Yeah.
Wake up, get up, brush my teeth.
The real basics.
Exactly. Take a shower, have breakfast, go to work or go to school, have lunch, come home, have dinner, watch TV, read a book, and finally go to bed. These aren't just random words. They are universally recognizable actions. Pretty much.
So it's not just a list of words, it's tapping into something deeper, something we already kind of know.
Precisely. These aren't just foundational verbs. They tap into what cognitive psychologists call schema theory. By starting with these universal concrete actions that almost everyone performs, doesn't matter about culture or native language, the resource activates these pre-existing mental models you have. Learners can immediately hang the new language onto familiar conceptual hooks.
Ah.
And that's a masterstroke in reducing cognitive load, right? Instead of introducing a totally new concept in new words, it grounds the new vocabulary in something already understood, deeply ingrained. It's like the skeletal structure of our daily existence. And by isolating these core actions first, the resource gives immediate clarity and a solid mental hook. It really accelerates comprehension right from the beginning. It avoids overwhelming you with, peripheral details and just focuses on the absolute essentials, building that robust foundation.
It's like giving you the core Lego bricks of your day first, so you can start building immediately. And what's powerful about that isn't just learning these words, but realizing how quickly you can adapt these structures for your own stories, or for asking about other people's lives. Okay, so we've got the foundational verbs, the raw material. But a list of actions isn't really a story without context, is it? How does the resource guide us beyond just vocabulary into constructing meaningful, time-bound events? What's the next piece it introduces?
Right, and this is where the resource introduces that pedagogical principle of scaffolding, building complexity step by step. Once those essential action words are there, the lesson immediately shows you how to place them in time. And this isn't just adding extra info. It transforms a simple action into a clear, sequenced event in your day.
Ah, makes sense.
It's not just I eat breakfast, as I have breakfast at 7 o'clock. That grounding in reality is critical, gives it temporal anchoring. The source explicitly highlights this. It notes how time expressions like at 7 o'clock or in the morning make your sentences clearer, more precise.
I see. So it's moving from just understanding the action to understanding it as a specific point in a narrative.
Exactly. This gives immediate structure. It transitions the learner from isolated verbs to a coherent, sequenced narrative, which, let's face it, mirrors how we naturally think about and tell people about our day. So, for instance, you start seeing sentences emerge like, I wake up at 7 o'clock. I brush my teeth in the morning. Simple stuff.
Yeah.
I take a shower after breakfast. I go to work at 9 a.m. I have lunch at 1 p.m. I come home in the evening. I watch TV before bed. I go to bed at 11 o'clock. Huh. Notice how those simple additions instantly paint a much more complete picture. It's more understandable for anyone listening to your routine.
Definitely.
It's teaching not just what to say, but how to arrange it for maximum clarity, maximum impact. Moving from individual bits to a structured, understandable sequence. It's all about building a robust framework for understanding and expressing yourself. Making that jump from vocabulary to coherent sentences feel smooth, intuitive.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so we've gone from raw actions to placing them in time, creating a basic personal timeline. But, real communication rarely happens in isolated sentences, does it? The next logical step must be bringing these building blocks into actual interaction, right? How does the resource bridge that gap?
You've hit on a really crucial point there. From individual sentences, the resource then makes this vital jump into a real-life scenario. A short, very accessible conversation between two friends. This is where the learning shifts. It goes from individual production to genuine interaction. It addresses what linguists sometimes call communicative competence and interlanguage pragmatics, fancy terms.
The whole meaning actually using the language socially.
Exactly. It's about more than just forming grammatically correct sentences. It's understanding the social function of language, how to ask, how to respond, how to share information naturally.
So it's not just teaching what to say, but how to engage in a conversation.
Precisely. And this raises an important question. Why put a conversation in at this stage? Because it demonstrates not just how to form the sentences, but how to interact in a reciprocal exchange, like a real chat. It teaches the give and take of sharing information, turning individual facts into sort of shared narrative. And this conversational practice is invaluable. It shows how even simple questions, like what time do you usually wake up, can unlock a whole load of information about someone's day and, form the basis of a connection.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It shifts the learning from just passive absorption to active dialogic engagement. It's here that the learner starts to understand turn-taking, asking follow-up questions, adapting what they say based on what the other person says, which is absolutely critical for moving beyond robotic repetition to natural, fluid conversation.
I can imagine how liberating that must feel for a learner. Suddenly, they're not just practicing sentences in isolation, they're starting to actually connect. The example dialogue itself is pretty straightforward, clearly designed to be immediately accessible. You've got Alex asking Sarah about her wake-up time. Sarah says she wakes up at 7, then brushes her teeth, takes a shower. Simple enough. Then Alex asks about breakfast. Sarah shares she usually has bread and tea, then importantly asks Alex back, "What about you?"
That bit's key.
Yeah. Alex says he usually has eggs and coffee, then goes to work, and Sarah adds she goes to school. It's simple, but it packs a powerful lesson, doesn't it?
It really does. It demonstrates how to ask for personal information, how to provide it, showing the practical application of the vocabulary and the time expressions learned just before. And as you highlighted, Sarah's return question, what about you? That small phrase is actually a giant leap in communicative competence. It transforms what could be a monologue into a genuine dialogue. It fosters the kind of interaction that builds relationships, not just conveys facts. For you, the learner, you can see how easily you can begin to describe your own day and ask others about theirs using just these simple structures. It builds confidence for countless future chats.
That's really insightful. And then the learning resource does something brilliant, almost intimate here. It stops, looks directly at you, the listener, and invites you to participate. It's like a direct challenge, no passive listening allowed. What's the pedagogical genius behind sort of breaking the fourth wall like that?
Well, this personalized practice is invaluable because it triggers some really powerful cognitive processes. It forces you, the learner, to actively retrieve the information, adapt it to your own unique life, and then articulate it. This is known as active recall and also the self-reference effect in memory science. Basically, when you relate information to your personal experience,
It sticks better.
much better. You create stronger, more durable memory traces. So the resource asks you directly, what time do you wake up? What do you usually eat for breakfast? And what time do you go to bed?
And the simple act of answering, even if you're just talking to yourself in the room, must make a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking out loud, even when you're alone, reinforces the motor vocal circuits in your brain.
Mhm.
It connects the thought, the word, and the physical act of speaking. This isn't just about memorization. It's about really solidifying the knowledge, moving from just understanding it to being able to apply it confidently. It's that critical bridge between theoretical learning and practical fluid use of the language.
Right.
By having you articulate answers relevant to your day, the learning truly becomes yours. It tailors the general concepts to your unique experience, making them instantly accessible for real-world use. It really enhances what's called declarative memory consolidation, essentially, how facts and events get stored properly in long-term memory.
This active engagement not only solidifies the language, but also empowers the learner, doesn't it? Makes the whole process personal and relevant. But, okay, our daily lives aren't just work or school obligations. We have personal time, interests, relaxation, fun stuff. Does this resource acknowledge the fullness of life beyond just the tasks? How does it help us describe those fun things we do?
That's a crucial observation, and yes, the resource wisely addresses it. It recognizes that a truly complete picture of daily life isn't just about the must-dos, it's about personal interests, relaxing, connecting with people. This addition is vital. It creates a holistic understanding of yourself and leads to richer, more engaging conversations. And from a motivational standpoint, including hobbies, taps into intrinsic motivation and learner agency.
Meaning?
Meaning when learners can talk about things they genuinely enjoy, their engagement shoots up and so does retention. It feels less like work.
Right, it makes the language learning process more enjoyable, less like a chore.
Precisely. So the resource broadens the vocabulary here. It introduces terms for leisure activities and free time. You see words like listen to music, play games, meet friends, exercise, go shopping, and cook dinner. And crucially, it immediately provides examples of how to slot these into your daily routines. I listen to music in the evening, I meet my friends on the weekend, I exercise in the morning.
Okay.
This ensures that you have the words to describe all parts of your day, not just the mandatory ones, which is vital for genuine, relatable communication. It allows for a much richer self-expression. You can paint a full, vibrant picture of who you are and what you enjoy.
So we've built the foundation with verbs, added context with time, practiced interaction through dialogue, personalized it, and even broadened the scope to include personal interests. What's the next key step in this learning architecture? How does the resource make sure the information actually sticks, and that learners can understand when others speak using these structures?
This leads directly into the critical skill of listening comprehension. The resource then throws a listening challenge at you, a description of a day, spoken naturally, followed by questions designed to test your recall and understanding. This is a deliberate shift, moving from active production, speaking, to receptive understanding, listening.
Testing the ears, basically.
Exactly. Listening comprehension is often the first step in effective communication, but it's frequently overlooked in favor of just practicing speaking. This challenge helps you figure out how well the new vocabulary and structures have been internalized passively. It prepares you for active conversation. It's about training your ear to process information in real time.
This is where you test if those building blocks have truly settled in your mind, so you can recognize them when you hear them used by someone else. Can you give us an example of how this challenge is structured?
Sure. So Sarah, from the dialogue earlier, she describes her day in a continuous flow, much like you'd hear in a natural conversation. She says something like, I wake up at 6:30. I brush my teeth and take a shower. I have breakfast at 7:30. I go to school at 8. I come home at 3. In the evening, I cook dinner and watch TV. I go to bed at 10.
Okay, a typical day description.
Right. Then, the resource immediately poses specific questions to you, the listener. Things like, what time does Sarah wake up? What time does she have breakfast? And what does she do in the evening? And crucially, it then provides the answers right away. 6:30, 7:30, she cooks dinner and watches TV.
That immediate feedback is important.
Hugely important. That feedback loop is critical for self-correction and building confidence. It demonstrates how effective just paying attention when listening is, even for these seemingly simple stories. And it prepares you for the complexities of real-world interactions. It helps develop both bottom-up processing, recognizing individual words, and top-down processing, understanding the overall story. Both are essential for fluency.
That instant feedback loop must be incredibly helpful for cementing the learning. It's one thing to say the words, but yeah, another entirely to catch them when someone else says them. And finally, after all these structured steps, the verbs, the time, the dialogue, the personal practice, the hobbies, the listening, how does this deep dive conclude? What's the ultimate goal here?
Well, the deep dive concludes with a final, really powerful push for speaking practice. It reinforces the entire lesson through active application. It comes back to the core idea of deliberate practice and retrieval practice, getting it out there. It starts with a quick review, revisiting those key verbs. Wake up, brush my teeth, have breakfast, go to work, go to bed. But importantly, it moves beyond just repeating them. It circles back to practicing forming full sentences with times, engaging in the dialogue again, maybe even redoing the listening challenge, all aimed at active, confident speaking.
So it's about making sure the learner doesn't just know about the routine, but can confidently express their own. Talk about it naturally.
Exactly that. The emphasis on repetition and then self-generation, making your own sentences, that's the ultimate goal of learning, isn't it? To move from just mimicking to authentic expression, to achieve automaticity. And the resource gives some really crucial advice here. The best way to learn English is to practice a little every day. Simple, but true.
Consistency.
Yes. And try talking about your daily routine in English, maybe in the morning or before bed. And perhaps the most important bit, speak out loud, even if you're alone. It really helps.
Mm.
This consistent advice just underscores that language mastery, like any skill really, is built through persistent, active engagement, even in small, manageable doses. This whole approach isn't just an English lesson summary. It's a blueprint for acquiring any skill. Consistent, focused, iterative practice makes all the difference. It leads to long-term memory and fluency.
So you've journeyed with us through this meticulously structured approach of this English learning deep dive. We've seen how it breaks down the seemingly simple act of talking about your day from core verbs right through to rich conversation, building blocks one by one with really intentional design at every single step.
Yeah, what we've truly unpacked today is the genius of breaking down complex communication into manageable, actionable steps. It highlights the power of structured learning, active engagement, using methods like schema activation and scaffolding, and the incredible impact of consistent, even small daily practice. It's really a testament to how any daunting task can be mastered through thoughtful deconstruction, repeating it, practicing it, and persistent active engagement. This entire resource is just a brilliant example of how effective instructional design isn't just about what you teach, but how you empower the learner to truly make that knowledge their own.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to consider. If describing your daily routine is so fundamental to communication, and if this structured approach to learning it is so effective, consider the untapped power of consciously narrating your own day, whether it's just in your head or actually out loud, in whatever language or field you're trying to master. How many deep dives into your own daily experience are you maybe overlooking right now? Rich, personal learning opportunities just waiting for you to articulate them. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep making new connections.